So hello everyone, I am Nuvin Jane Algutib and I am the next reporter. So I am going to discuss the Estrada administration and people power too. So the transfer of power from President Ramos to President Ejercito Estrada was just peaceful and orderly, despite fears of a failure of election. So a few months before election, a group of Ramos admirers initiated the move for charter change. So what is charter change? It is the Chacha move that allows a second term for President Ramos. There was a rally happened in Luneta to announce the Chacha move, and it was led by the former President Aquino and Cardinal Sin. So according to the critics of Ramos, opposition to Chacha proved too strong, which caused the president to back out. In any case, President Ramos proved himself a true Democrat and constitutionalist. He declared that he had no intention of pursuing a charter change and of seeking a second term. Estrada, despite charges of being a womanizer, gambler, and drinker, he won almost 40% of the votes with Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo as his vice president. The speedy canvassing on Senate proclamation of Estrada as president-elect and Macapagal-Arroyo as vice president attested to the democratic processes that were restored by the EDSA people power and the statesmanship of President Ramos. A former movie creator turned politician who served as a mayor of San Juan City, senator, vice president, and finally as president. Estrada's administration was viewed as a potential disaster by the elite and business sectors of Philippine society. So this means that the elite people and let's say affluent and fortunate were afraid of his administration. But this is not true for the poor masses who believe that his administration will be committed to their welfare and well-being. To prove this commitment, among President Estrada's first acts include: first, the suspension of the release of the 37 billion in pork barrel allocations for pet projects of the congressman; second, the organization of the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Task Force with General Panfilo Lacson as head; and third, the reduction of debt servicing or payment of IMFWB; and fourth, the redirection of land bank and DBP funds to small and medium scale enterprises. So, President Estrada laid down his priorities already in his first report to the nation. So, his priorities are: first, provision of opportunities for employment and income generation; second, provision of food, shelter, and basic utilities; third, improvement of the economy through the acceleration of infrastructure programs and privatization; and fourth, promotion of participatory leadership, which is free from graft and corruption and political patronage. So that is really good because we all know that graft and corruption is the worst crime of all. I mean, if we all know that corruption is very unavoidable, especially if a person has a power. And I believe the saying that power corrupts, so does absolute power corrupts absolutely. So let's proceed. Within 2 years, so Estrada served for 2 years and 7 months in office. He faced threats to his stay in power. So scandals involving both, but his personal and official life huge the news. Among these were: first, his involvement in number games as king of juting lords. Second, his rumored mistresses and gift of mansions. His much criticized drinking sprees and midnight cabinet sessions. And fourth, his huge bank account under a false name. So he was being accused of these scandals. So Governor Chavit Singon exposed on President Estrada's link to juting triggered a series of events that led to his exit from Malacanang. This included, among others, the resignation of Vice President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo. This issuance of a statement by the Catholic Bishops Conference of the Philippines or CBCP commending President Estrada's juting involvement as morally reprehensible. So the Makati Business Club expressing its loss of confidence in his ability to govern and his call for his resignation. Mass action followed. An impeachment complaint was filed against him. So in this case, the democratic state of the government really works because Salas Papilay is Suprema Lex, and that is why the impeachment complaint that was being filed against President Estrada was effective. He blamed all his woes in former President Estrada, whom he said was persecuting him for his investigations of the Ramos administration's scandalous and unexplained multi-billion projects. Not long after the impeachment proceedings, President Estrada was implicated as the owner of a signature under a false name and a questionable bank account. This was made possible by the testimony of main witness, namely Clarissa Ocampo, a bank executive. So as defense lawyer of President Estrada, named Attorney Estelito Mendoza remarked, while the senator judges will yet make their final already making a judgment. What followed there was the execution of what appeared to be a concerted effort to oust President Estrada by the Parliament of the Street. The sudden resignation of General Angelo Reyes, Estrada's AFP Chief of Staff, emboldened the people's protests at EDSA Shrine. The President left Malacanang to prevent bloodshed as throngs of angry people who tried to climb the walls of Malacanang while helicopters hovered above the palace. On January 20, 2001, Vice President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo took her oath of the office as the fourth President of the Fifth Republic. And that is why we are now going to discuss the Macapagal-Arroyo government or her administration. So the government targets listed by President Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo in her first State of the Nation address or SONA on the year 2001, July 23. Those were to poverty reduction, second, fifth, poverty by creating jobs and not destroying them, address to the complaint of the masses about higher price and inadequate wages, reduce excessive friction in labor and management, control the budget deficit by collecting taxes, balance the economic plan to nurture the disadvantaged members of society, increase the chances of Filipino children having adequate education, create 1 million new jobs within the year in agriculture and fisheries that is in favor for farmers and fishermen, strive to achieve self-sufficiency in rice production, produce cheap rice, and increase the number of prosperous farmers, annually distribute 200,000 hectares of land for agrarian reform, 100 hectares of private land and 100 hectares of public land, including 100 ancestral domain titles for indigenous people. And also develop information and communication technology to leapfrog the economy into the new millennia. Also, to stop the increase in prices of basic necessities of workers. So, it also states the monitor of oil prices, increase the number of categories of workers who need not pay taxes. Also, to reduce corruption in the executive branch, that means to investigate and prosecute corruption in highest places. Reduce also corruption among elective officials. No one is above the law. And also to enhance relations with the United States, whose we all know the economic and military power continue to make it an important factor in the affairs of the region and our nation. Unlike President Corazon Aquino, who declined to run for a second term, although she came to power through People Power 1, President Arroyo sought a second term on the basis of being brought to the presidency by People Power 2. The critics say that People Power 1 was a much broader protest movement and spontaneous on the part of the participants. So in the case of People Power 2, political analysts say it was an elite dominated to our President Estrada, whose pro-masa, or to be exact, pro-people agenda and low moral lifestyle disqualified him to continue as a president. In any case, Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo's governance has not been as peaceful and as popular as she would have wanted. Because charges after charges of corruption and destroying the democratic institutions by influence pleading, such as COMELEC, House of Representatives, the Supreme Court and the judicial system, the AFP, the NEDA, and many more, have been lodged against her. At least 3 impeachment cases were filed to no avail in Congress. And as her second term is about to end in the year 2010 in May, with elections just around the corner, rumors of charter change or a possible failure of election scenario have been floated around. So there were rumors about that. The nation awaits the coming events with the great hopes of a peaceful transition to the next presidency amidst cry of bagong politika, transformative politics. So that's all, and I hope I have discussed the topic well, and I hope that you understood and acknowledged everything I said. Thank you and God bless.